What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Last Call. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons, here with me as he is every week. My co-host, Mike LaPlant. What's up, my friend?
Sure seems like every day at this point. Not too much. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Enjoyed some football today, and we are watching the Packers get demolished on Sunday Night Football, which I love.
Of course you do, you damn Bear fan.
But before we get started, please like the stream. Please subscribe to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. We appreciate that. There. Go check out fantasysixpack.net/plans and check out our memberships as well. But we're gonna jump right into it. Keep it short and sweet like always. The first game was a London game, guys. Denver against Jacksonville. Denver wins 21-17. But the biggest storyline from this game, man, is Travis Etienne and the work that he got. He got 27 total touches, 156 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, man. 25.2 PPR points, Mike. Just a huge day for me, Etienne. Jumping over to the Broncos side of things, if you started both running backs for the Broncos, you were happy. They both found the end zone, didn't do much outside of that. And then Jerry Jeudy caught a touchdown as well. The disappointing part of Denver was Courtland Sutton only catching one of his 4 targets. But Mike, what's your biggest takeaway from this game?
I mean, you hit it right on the head with Travis Etienne. He finally broke out with the James Robinson trade. Other than that, I think the smallest takeaway, that has to do with that is it's affecting Kirk's consistency from here on out. If Etienne succeeds, I mean, it's going to be hard to see Kirk succeed as well.
Yeah, it does make me a little nervous with Christian Kirk, but I'm still confident in him the rest of the season.
Also, I mean, just quick little take from the Broncos. I can't trust any receivers from that team. I can't. It's really only the running backs you can play kind of safely. Not confidently, safely. Yeah. But we'll jump into our next game here, and this game just sucked all around. I mean, unless your name is Alvin Kamara, because the New Orleans Saints came in, had the Las Vegas Raiders come in visiting, and they clobbered them 24-0. I'm pretty sure I saw the Raiders only made it across midfield one time throughout the entire game. Not great. But yeah. Alvin Kamara, 3 overall touchdowns, 62 rushing yards, 1 rushing, 2 receiving touchdowns, and he almost had 100 yards receiving, 96 yards, 10 targets, 9 receptions. Overall, just killed it. 42 fantasy points, probably one of your top scorers of the day. Andy Dalton was serviceable, just like we said in our start-sit stream this morning. But, jumping over to the Raiders side, man, everything just fell apart. I mean, Devontae Adams, 1 catch. That's my biggest takeaway from the Raiders. Why is he only getting 1 catch, 5 targets? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Mac Hollins leading the team with 8 targets, 7 receptions for 64 yards. Josh Jacobs was, just pedestrian, 10 for 43. So really my biggest takeaway is why aren't we getting a guy that we traded a first and second round pick involved more? I mean, other than Alvin Kamara just dominating for the Saints, I mean, what's your biggest takeaway from these two teams?
Mine's that it's Andy Dalton's job in New Orleans, man. He's the QB1 the rest of the season, bar an injury in my eyes. Yeah. And that's a good thing for Alvin Kamara. And that's a good thing for this offense. For
fantasy.
Yeah. No, it really is. Go ahead, jump it over to the next game we got. This game was fun, man. This game was a lot of fun. The Miami Dolphins at the Detroit Lions. The Dolphins take care of business. 31-27. Staying on the Dolphins side, 2 was awesome, guys. 3 touchdowns, 29 fantasy points. Tyreek Hill blowing up again. Pretty sure he's flirting with wide receiver 1 right now in all fantasy football. Caught 12 of 14 for 188. Go ahead, Mike.
Did you say something? No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll save it.
No, you're good. Jaylen Waddle caught 2 touchdowns, 106 yards, 22 fantasy points. Great day for him, man. It was just a great day for this whole Dolphins offense outside of Raheem Mostert. And guys, this just in. Tua is not a bad quarterback, so stop saying that.
Because he did play a bad defense.
This is true, Mike, but he's consistent lately when we've seen him play, and he's supporting these awesome wide receivers around him. But jumping over to the Lions side of things, you had DeAndre Swift back healthy. Was on a snap count for sure. He did find the end zone receiving 14 PPR points. He was fine. Jamal Williams, vultured 2 touchdowns. Shocker, man. We're not surprised about that at all.
No.
And then Amon-Ra St. Brown got through this full game, caught 7 balls for 69 yards. Mike, what's your biggest takeaway from the Lions here?
I'd like to see Swift more involved here. I mean, maybe this was due to injuries, but I want to see Swift getting the majority of the carries, not Jamal Williams. I mean, I like seeing it for Jamal Williams, but come on, guys. We know this offense runs through DeAndre Swift. And, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was all right today. Nothing spectacular. My biggest takeaway from you is, from this game is really from the Dolphins, and it's Tyreek Hill. Everyone thought Justin Jefferson was going to be this year's Cooper Kupp. I think it's Tyreek Hill this year, unfortunately. The consistency is off the charts with him.
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. And
I remember hearing a stat that was going on during the game, and 4 of the 8 games that he's played in, he has 160 yards.
Yeah,
receiving.
That's crazy. That's
stupid.
That's crazy. Like we said, too, is just getting that ball in their hands in stride and letting those speedsters go, man, and it's working out great so far.
Yes, it is. And sometimes he's even underthrowing it, and it's still working.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yep. And then I just want to throw this in. I think Jamal Williams is still startable in flex territory, low-end RB2 territory each week as well.
Yeah, just get Swift more involved, please. But moving on to our next game here, and the Philadelphia Eagles remain perfect. They take out the Pittsburgh Steelers 35-13. It was really never a contest here. Jalen Hurts, another MVP type performance. 4 touchdowns through the air, guys. Not on the ground, no biggie. But seeing the development as a passing quarterback, and the guy they traded for, AJ Brown, 6 receptions, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure that 2 of those were first half. Good. Basically, biggest takeaway from the Eagles here is, man, Jalen Hurts is that dude. He is.
Yes, he is.
I mean, maybe he needs AJ Brown, to be healthy. So be it. But he's that dude, man, for fantasy and for NFL. And I think he's earned a spot in this league.
Yes, he has.
But moving on to the Steelers, Kenny Pickett, pedestrian day. It was a tough defense to play against. Biggest, thing here, Jaylen Warren had more rushing yards than Najee Harris. Najee Harris had more attempts too. Really, there was just nothing here. I mean, Claypool threw a touchdown, and that's really where a majority of the fantasy points came from here today.
My biggest fantasy takeaway from this is you don't have to start Najee Harris in your fantasy lineups anymore. If you've caught a break with injuries, like at this point, I'd probably start Devin Singletary over him, Mike. I'm trying to think of other borderline RB2 backs. I'm definitely
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, maybe Dameon Pierce, Ramondre Stevenson, all those guys.
I mean, you were starting Dameon Pierce. AJ Dillon?
For sure. No, definitely not. Even though we are seeing a little bit of life out of him in this one. But yeah, man, you're not comfortable starting any of these guys anymore. I know Deontay Johnson is getting a lot of targets, but he's not producing, Mike. He's not.
Yeah, it's volume based. That's all. He's getting 9 targets a game. It looks like pretty much. Yeah. Biggest takeaway here though is Philly is just producing mass fantasy points, and we love it.
They got a good chance of going up. They got a good chance of going undefeated, man, for sure.
Yeah, they do.
They got the Cowboys. Yeah, they got the Cowboys one more time. That might be the last hope for the 72 Dolphins. But jumping into our next one, man. Yep, we got the New England Patriots beating the New York Jets 22-17. Man, Ramondre Stevenson balled out again. 71 yards on the ground, 72 yards through the air. Finished it with 21 PPR points. Jacoby Myers catching a touchdown. He never used to catch touchdowns, man. He catches touchdowns now, Mike, and he's a wide receiver 3 for sure in your lineup weekly, creeping into wide receiver 2 territory.
If he gets 12 targets, yeah.
Yep. And Dameon Harris did see 11 attempts, just got 37 yards with him. He's floating around borderline flex territory with Ramondre taking over, but you definitely don't love starting Harris any longer. Jumping over to the Jets side of things, Mike, what a disaster this offense was today. Zach Wilson wasn't good. He threw 3 interceptions, a couple of
I wouldn't say the whole offense, but
Michael Carter wasn't great either. finish it with 10 PPR points. He kind of got saved through his work through the year. Yeah, this is true, Mike. Tyler Conklin, if you were still holding on to faith and starting him, he caught 2 touchdowns. And then we did see the rookie Garrett Wilson explode for the first time since week 3 with 15 yards. But Mike, Elijah Moore played today, 1 target, and he's frustrated after the game again, saying, I don't know. I don't have chemistry with Zach Wilson because I don't.
No, that was the question. He goes, what's your chemistry with Zach Wilson? He goes, I don't know. I don't get the ball.
But man, what are we taking away from this one? Bad, good? What are you thinking?
Biggest takeaway here is, man, Zach Wilson is struggle time without Breece Hall. Maybe like I said before, receivers are benefiting out of this. Looks like maybe we can get 2 pass catchers supportive out of this offense if this can continue. But my biggest takeaway here is Ramondre Stevenson, man. And I know it's New England, but he's securely stole that job from Damian Harris in my eyes, man. And with the workload they get having the faith passing the ball to the running backs in New England, I think we got ourselves a new LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, agreed. He's man, and he's good. He's so good. Catch a pass.
All right.
Out of the backfields too.
Yep. And we'll jump over here to the next game then. This one was a fun one here. I know you want to get in on this when you get the chance. But we got the Chicago Bears visiting the Dallas Cowboys. And man, this was fun in the first half, but it ultimately ended up Cowboys winning 49-29. I mean, Cowboys here. Dak Prescott finally looked healthy. He had a rushing touchdown. They ran him a couple times in the red zone, and he also had 2 passing touchdowns. You know, you still got a little bit of rust throwing a pick in there. Overall, getting 26 fantasy points for you guys out there that started him. But the big story of the day here for the Cowboys was Tony Pollard getting 3 rushing touchdowns, 131 yards on the ground, 32.7 fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb was good too, getting 5 for 77 and a tut. So 18.8. Dalton Schultz, pedestrian, 6 of 7 for 74. You know, biggest takeaway from them is Tony Pollard, man. I know Jerry Jones already came out and said it's still Zeke's job, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Tony Pollard, man, he is the ultimate handcuff in that offense right now. But moving on to the Bears, Justin Fields, I mean, having another good day, didn't throw the ball a lot, you know, only getting 151 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no picks, but also getting another rushing touchdown, 60 on the ground. I mean, I think they finally unlocked Fields in the way that he needs to be, you know, used. Khalil Herbert had a rushing touchdown too, 16 for 99. 15.9 on the ground for fantasy. And then N'Keal Harry caught the touchdown. Cole Kmet caught a touchdown, first one since 2020.
Yeah. Cole Kmet, man. No, my biggest takeaway from this, and I'm excited as a Bears fan, man, it's Justin Fields. He's looks like he's finally progressing in real football and in fantasy football. That's like at least 3 straight weeks
Josh
of him
Allen
being
just got picked.
That's at least 3 straight weeks of him being a top 10 quarterback, maybe even 4 straight weeks. But Justin Fields, and this was a tough matchup, man. So this is really great, encouraging to see from him.
Yeah.
And you can get away starting him in fantasy purposes now.
If they continue using him like this.
And yes, I think they
absolutely.
I think they will.
And I think Pollard's made his way also into, you know, ultimate flex territory.
Yep, and you can start him as your RB2. I have no issues with that at all. Next game we got the Arizona Cardinals.
This was another fun one.
To the Minnesota Vikings, 34-26. Yes, it was. It was the shootout we kind of wanted, Mike. Kyler put up some good fantasy numbers today, 26.6 fantasy points. Quiet game on the ground, but it was the DeAndre Hopkins show, man, catching 12 balls for 159 and a touchdown for 33 PPR points. Rondale Moore caught a touchdown as well, and so did Zach Ertz. Rondale Moore boomed this week, 23.4 PPR points. You would have known to start him if you read my start sit article over at fantasy6pack.net because he was my wide receiver start of the week. But I believe he is startable moving forward in your flex spot wide receiver 3. Jumping over to the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, 2 touchdowns today. Dalvin Cook was good as well, 20 fantasy points. Justin Jefferson, solid day, 15 PPR points. I'm sorry, Dalvin Cook had 25 PPR points. But, Mike, this game was awesome. We finally saw Kyler have a big day. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
Man, Kyler finally feels more confident now that he has Hopkins back. That's my biggest takeaway, kind of making this off. It's unlocked this offense a little bit more.
What we thought, Mike. We've been preaching it the last 4 or 5
exactly.
weeks.
And then my biggest takeaway from the Vikings here is welcome back, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, man.
Welcome back, man. I mean, we needed this.
Welcome back.
Jefferson doing his thing, but Dalvin Cook is really the story on the day, in my opinion. But we'll move on to yet another fun game here. This one was a thriller down in Georgia. Atlanta versus the Carolina Panthers went into overtime. Atlanta ended up winning on a game-winning kick. All right. 37-34. All right. PJ Walker is pretty good in this game. 317 yards. You know, other than that, really the big story and takeaway from the Panthers is DJ frickin' Moore. 11 targets, 6 receptions, and that bomb Hail Mary, 152 yards and a touch for 27.5 fantasy points.
Just keep your helmet on, brother. Just keep your helmet on.
I mean, really, I'm kind of overshadowing Deontay Foreman here a little bit also because he did have 3 touchdowns on the day here. But, man, I was excited about DJ Moore. He finally came out and had a good day. But those are the 2 biggest storylines. Is Deontay Foreman, DJ Moore might be – I mean, Foreman's startable from here on out. DJ Moore is matchup dependent. But jumping over to the Falcons here, Mariota had a day, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 253 yards. Really, biggest takeaway here was Kyle Pitts finally getting another touchdown here, getting 9 targets.
It's huge, man.
That's the biggest takeaway here is the 9 targets. He led the team in targets. I mean, it's kind of sucks for Drake London. But, this is very, very good for Kyle Pitts getting 80 yards, 5 receptions, getting that touchdown, 19 fantasy points. I don't see it being consistent, Mike, him scoring 19 fantasy points, but it's good to see that ceiling is in him, and now he can get that at any given point this season. He's still going to give you... He proved me wrong. He proved me wrong about the ceiling with Taysom Hill.
He's still going to give you the 3 to 5 fantasy points weeks sometimes because the volume's not going to be there. But he does have a ceiling now, and we saw that today.
Yes, sir.
Jumping to the next game. This one's quick and easy, guys. Tennessee Titans beat the Houston Texans 17-10. Malik Willis, he ain't it. He had an awful day. It was Derrick Henry, 32 attempts, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you had Derrick Henry on your teams, 75% chance you were winning today. Then jumping over to Houston, this offense was atrocious. Brandon Cooks caught 4 balls for 73, 11 PPR points, Mike, solid day. David Pierce was not good, 15 for 35 today. He did catch a touchdown late in this game that salvaged his day. But yeah, we don't really have, there's not much of a takeaway here. We already know Derrick Henry is really, really good. I was worried about, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Help me out here.
I mean, were you worried about Derrick Henry bouncing back from the injury? I mean, because he just kind of, or was it with Malik Willis that you were really scared about?
Yeah. I was a little worried with Malik, that he was going to take some goal line touches around that area, but that just
he almost got the touchdown. Oh, he almost got a touchdown early, but was stopped at the 1 yard line. So, it benefited Henry more than anything.
But you can jump into the next one.
All right, next game we had here was the 49ers beating the LA Rams 31-14. And man, was it a day for CMC, his coming out party here. First player since LaDainian Tomlinson score a rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in the same game. Overall finishing with 32 fantasy points. Yet another running back with 3 touchdowns on the day. That was the biggest takeaway here. I mean, he had Ayuk. He had 6 for 81 with a touchdown, getting 20.1. But really, takeaway here is CMC for the 49ers. And then you got the Rams. Biggest takeaway, honestly, Cooper Kupp's injury. It's not great. I mean, he had 8 for 79, 1 touchdown. But this is, this is like almost the face of fantasy football here. Cooper Kupp past year. going down. I mean,
it looked like an ankle, and it was at the end of the game. Then he had no business being in, man.
Yeah. Other than that, the other smallest takeaway here is Rivers actually outpaced Darrell Henderson on the ground, which is
and Allen Robinson getting 7 targets. But I want to jump back to San Francisco real quick, man. Deebo Samuel, he's gonna lose a lot of his value because McCaffrey's taken a lot of his work that Samuel usually gets. So that's
gives him maybe some more opportunity for deep targets.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Jumping into the next game, we got the Washington Commanders beating the Indianapolis Colts on a late game-winning drive by Taylor Heineke. Nobody did anything in the backfield once again. Terry McLaurin saw 8 targets, man, caught 6 of them for 113, 16 PPR points. Antonio Gibson caught a touchdown from Taylor Heineke today, 20.7 PPR points. So he's still hanging around with relevancy here. And Brian Robinson is really disappointed. So that's just something to keep an eye on.
Antonio Gibson, man.
Woo. Yep. Yeah, that's what I mean. Jumping over to the Colts side of things, Sam Ehlinger was fine. Didn't do anything crazy. JT, he's not the guy we drafted, man. Number 1 overall, 5.6 fantasy points. I wonder if his ankle injury struggled a little bit. But Michael Pittman still saw 9 targets, so Ehlinger still hyper targeted him, which is good to see. And that's my biggest takeaway from the Colts is Pittman still getting his targets, man. So that's great. He's might not have huge days, but the targets will keep him afloat. You got anything on the Commanders? Are you confident in Terry McLaurin with Taylor Heineke moving forward? How about that?
I got 2 takeaways. Terry McLaurin seems pretty consistent with Heineke, and apparently Antonio Gibson. He's not getting that passing work we all wanted him to get, and I think he's worth a flex play if he continues to get 5 to 7 targets a week.
Definitely something to monitor for sure.
Yeah. But we will move on to our next game here, which really was the upset of the week, in my opinion here, because Giants coming into the Seahawks 6-1 against the 4-3 Seahawks. This is the only game that featured 2 winning teams all week, and the one with the least amount of wins won. Seahawks 27, Giants 13. It's very uncharacteristic of the Giants turning the ball over as many times as they did. But biggest takeaway from the Giants here, even though as bad as the day they had, Saquon Barkley still making his hay, getting 53 yards and a touchdown. Also getting 3 targets for 9 yards, 15.2 fantasy points. Really, he's kind of, at this point, Barkley's matchup proof. That's my biggest takeaway from the Giants, and we already knew this.
And Wan'Dale Robinson, you kind of got to push towards your bench again. He's not startable. The volume's just too inconsistent.
It is. It's just too inconsistent. Monitor Darius Slayton if he can continue to get about 5-6 targets a game.
Sure.
Still not great targets, though. Jumping over to the Seahawks here. Geno Smith having an all right day here. 2 touchdowns, 212 yards. And then he those 2 touchdowns. This is what really confused me. DK Metcalf getting 10 targets after the injury last week.
Fine.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is, though. He's fine. He got 55 yards and a touchdown, 17.5. Tyler Lockett even chimed in here, getting a touchdown, 63 yards also, 15.3 fantasy points. And then Kenneth Walker continuing his touchdown streak for 4 games in a row.
He saved it, man, late in the 4th quarter. He was looking like he was in struggle bus for fantasy managers, but he had a sick run for that touchdown towards the end of the game. So that was good news for his fantasy managers.
Yeah, biggest takeaway from the Seahawks really is, they're a lot more fantasy relevant down the stretch. I think that people are going to give them credit for, and I think players can be started here.
Yes, sir.
From their offense. How about you?
Yeah, no, I 100% agreed. Geno could support Lockett, Metcalf, and Walker. So, but yeah, guys, that's it. That wraps up the fantasy football last call. Please smash that like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell for notifications. We appreciate it. We got stuff coming out all week long. For Mike, I'm Dylan. We'll catch you next time.